to another episode of Feeding Our Faith. Today we are going to do a little bit of a different dish. Today I have with me Tanya Fishman, who is going to help me make what's called green pozole. Now, in the Hispanic tradition, they'll make pozole, which is a soup that has hominy as its base, and then oftentimes meat and stock and other things. And it's a great thing to serve during this time as weather is turning a little bit colder, as we're looking towards wanting to have some more meals kind of inside. And pozole is oftentimes there's either red pozole or green pozole. We're going to be making green pozole, which will have jalapeno peppers, tomatillos, which will add the green color, but and we'll have chicken. Red pozole is often pork based, and we'll have some red chili peppers that are added to it, but we're going to be doing the green because the green is one of my favorites. So what we have is a few things. We've got chicken that you can get rotisserie chicken just from the store, and that's very easy to do, and you can take it and we shred it up. Now, the other thing which we have are the tomatillos and the jalapenos. Now, tomatillo, some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not. If you look at it, it has kind of a very rough, papery outside, and it's on the inside it hides the tomatillo. As you kind of peel it back, and you'll see it's very green on the inside. Now, if you've ever been to a Mexican restaurant and had green salsa or salsa verde, that's what salsa verde is made out of, is these tomatillos. Now, once you peel it back, you'll want to kind of wash it a little bit, give it a rinse, and then it's ready to go. Now, what we did was we took that and some jalapenos, we put them on the stove top in boiling water. You want to boil those for about 15 to 18 minutes, 20 max, and you'll know that they're getting done by the fact that they begin to kind of change colors, and you'll see the jalapenos turn to kind of a little bit of a lighter shade of green, and the tomatillos begin to kind of open up a little bit. So our base is going to be that. Now, I'm going to start spooning out the tomatillos and jalapenos, which are done, Tanya. Okay. Do you want to kind of show how we shred the chicken?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, when I shred the chicken, like I said, some people like to use the fork. I prefer to use my fingers because I'm faster with my fingers, and you're basically just pulling apart. Obviously, the rotisserie chicken is a good chicken to use because it's not so hot. You do it yourself. Like, you'll have to wait till it cools.
You can actually have the chicken, you can prepare the chicken yourself if you want to, and some people will do that. Rotisserie chicken is just a nice way to kind of save some time and do it a little more quickly. And you can get rotisserie chickens at Albertsons or Sam's or places like that, and they're usually pretty inexpensive. Now, what I did was I drained off some of the water, and I'm going to be putting the tomatillos and jalapenos in there. Now, one thing to kind of keep in mind is it's kind of hard to tell with jalapenos if they're spicy or not. So what you'll want to do is you want to kind of add them in carefully, because sometimes you'll have jalapenos that are very mild, and sometimes you'll have jalapenos that will burn the living daylights out of you. Now, I'm spooning all of the tomatillos into this blender, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in just 2 jalapenos to start. Now, if you're wondering about how many tomatillos I put in, we've put about 8 to 10 tomatillos, and then I boiled up about 6 or 7 jalapenos. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make quite a bit of a noise because we got to blend it up, okay? Now, at this point, if you were wanting to make a salsa verde, a green salsa, you could. After you blend it up, you add a little bit of cilantro, salt, garlic, and a little bit of onion, blend it again, and then go ahead and serve it. So, we will mix it up real quick. We're going to make a lot of noise. Okay, now at this point, what you have to do is you need to taste test it. And the reason you taste test it is because if the jalapenos were mild, then you'll want to add a little bit more in. But if they're already good enough for how much heat you want, then you stop. I've made some pozole before where I had a few too many jalapenos. And
cleaned up your sinuses.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
I'll leave it as is.
Sounds like a plan.
Now, one thing you can do, if you want to adjust the heat later, which sometimes we like to do, you can adjust the heat later by having some chopped jalapenos, or even using some of the ones you boiled, kind of mince those up and you can add them later in the soup. Now, the next step that we're going to do, we're going to head over here towards the stove top as Tanya's shredding the chicken. And I'm going to pour about a few tablespoons of olive oil. I mean, you can use vegetable oil or something like that if you want to. But we're pouring the oil in there, and we're going to begin to cook the garlic and the onions together. Now, we have about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, and we have 2 to 3 white onions that we finely minced. Okay? So once that gets heated up, we'll do that. How's the chicken going?
Looks great.
All right.
We go long pieces. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah.
It should look more kind of like confetti, real thick, like shredded cheese.
Now, Tanya, when you were growing up, did you ever have, when you remember making your first communion?
I do.
Okay. Did you get anything for your first communion, like a little crucifix, or did you get any religious medals or anything like that? Or?
My mom's family's Italian, so I got the gamut.
Okay.
The crucifix, the little missalette, the rosary, the scapulas. What else did I get? Of course, money.
Okay. Money's
always great, especially at the age of 7.
That would be. That would be. Now, a lot of times as Catholics, we will have things like rosaries and scapulars and religious medals and stuff like that. Has anybody ever asked you why we wear those?
Yes, all of my family's Catholic, but yeah, I've had several friends that are non-Catholics, and they ask the importance of the rosaries and the medals and the scapulars and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what do you tell them?
It depends on what it is. If it's the rosary is something I do every night. I've done it with my kids for years when we're in the car driving home. We tend to do it. It's just a way, it's very calming.
Okay.
I find it. It's very peaceful, it's very centering, and when I'm stressed out, the only thing I know how to do is pray, so that's what I do.
And what if I don't pray over the rosary? Am I bad Catholic?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you probably would because you're a priest, but I would not be a bad Catholic.
Okay, I put the garlic into the oil. I'm going to put some of the onions in there as well. Probably, let's see, that's about enough right there. We have a few extra onions, that's not so bad. We can use those in another dish later. We're going to cook the onions though and kind of soften them up a little bit. Usually it helps to go ahead and add a little bit of salt at this time. I'll just add a little bit. You don't need too much. I remember I got a scapular, I got a miraculous medal, I got crucifixes in my first communion. I mean, I got all those things.
Yeah, you were excited.
Oh, I was.
It was better than a birthday.
It was. But a lot of those are what we call sacramentals in the Catholic Church. We have this whole area of stuff that we have called sacramentals and kind of popular devotions and popular piety. Like, have you ever heard of a novena?
I have.
Okay, like there's novena of the Sacred Heart, things like that. We have these novenas, and all of these they're part of our faith, but they're not like a completely necessary part, like such as the sacrament of baptism or something like that. These are things which can be popular devotions. They can be a way of leading us to holiness, engaging us in prayer, and doing some of those sorts of things. Now, as the onions are cooking, we've got one of the things which is great about pozole is it's all about kind of what you put in it after it's made. Like for instance, we've got limes that we'll put in, we've got cilantro that we've chopped, we have a cheese, Mexican style cheese called queso fresco, which is a really good cheese too, because it's very mild, very milky, and we'll actually be putting that on top. And you can add all that as well as we'll have some chunked up avocados that we'll put in, and those are some fun things to kind of add to your pozole, to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. But the other thing we'll do is we're going to add shredded cabbage. Now, the onions are getting soft now. Now, the next thing that we do is we will take the mixture that we did in the blender. I'm going to pass it behind you here real quick, Tanya. And we're going to take this mixture of the blended tomatillos and jalapenos and actually pour it in this. So we're keeping the temperature on high, and we'll add it. What's going to happen is we are going to cook this mixture just for a little bit. We'll kind of bring it almost to a boil, and then we will start adding in our chicken and other stuff.
Well, I can tell you why I would wear a religious medal.
Okay.
It's a particular devotion that I have to a particular saint. Perfect example, the cross that I'm wearing now, my little brother gave me before he left for the Air Force Academy, along with my little sister and my mom. And with him being a pilot, we were a little unnerved, and he promised us that as long as we were wearing our cross, he would be safe. And obviously he can't promise that, but it made us feel better. I have a miraculous medal that I love. Blessed Mother is probably the person that I go to the most when I'm really unnerved and upset. And I find a lot of peace and comfort with her. And I always know that she's there on my behalf to help me
Okay.
any way she can.
A lot of times, the popular piety and sacramentals, which we have as a part of our Catholic Church, are there to help lead us to greater holiness, to have a connection, whether it be to a particular saint or to Mary, to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. These are there to help us to grow in holiness, to have something to lean back on in many ways when we are praying, and perhaps you have things which you're not sure of what to pray. Oftentimes the rosary is very useful for that, because it's one of those things to where even if you're reaching a moment where you're not sure what to say, you have the rosary which you can pray as you meditate on the various mysteries during the life of Christ. Now, the mixture here is boiling, and we basically let it boil just kind of for a few minutes. It doesn't need to be long. Basically what we're doing is we're just kind of getting a little bit of the moisture off.
So it's thickening up?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now the next thing we do is we will add in our chicken stock, which again is when we made the Guinness Irish stew, as you remember a few episodes ago. You can just use regular stock that you buy at the store. It's not a problem. So I'm going to be putting chicken stock in, and as I'm putting the chicken stock in, Tanya, if you want to grab the chicken, we will start putting some of the shredded chicken in here.
Peels and...
Oh yeah, I put carrots, onion peels, bay leaves.
Yeah.
Now this mixture here, you will want to go ahead and cook at a low temperature. You'll bring it to a boil, and then you'll cook it at a low temperature for about 35 to 45 minutes. You can leave it up to an hour if you want. And basically, you're just kind of letting everything come together. You're taking off a little bit of the moisture and letting it all combine. Now, the thing which we did not add, which I almost forgot, was the hominy. What we will do is we will drain off the liquid from the hominy and then put that in. Now, we will drain this off.
You want 1 or 2 cans?
Oops. Let's see. Probably 2 cans.
Well, I better get started now, because at this rate, we'll be into February.
All right, and just stir the hominy in. As you see, hominy is actually, it's corn. Thank you, ma'am. All right, and as I said, you'll let this mixture cook for about the next 35 to 45 minutes, and then you will serve it with a lot of the accompaniments, like serve it with cabbage if people want to put it in. We've got sliced radishes that you can put in, some cilantro, a little bit of lime juice goes nice, some of the queso fresco.
My favorite.
And avocados. And if you want to spice it up, you can also take some of the jalapenos that you didn't use and chop those up and put those in as well. Now, if you want, this would be a great dish that you could bring to the upcoming potluck. Is what we will do is we will talk a little bit more about sacramentals, popular piety, where it comes from, and why it's a part of our faith. And so we hope that you'll be able to join us at the upcoming potluck this next Sunday. And hope you'll be there. If you want to bring some pozole, you can. Or if you have another dish that you'd like to bring,
Queso fresco is great stuff.
It is good.
Chips and hot sauce and guacamole.
So all kinds of things that you could bring. So again, thank you for being with us, and we hope you will enjoy making some pozole for yourself.